to the Shoot in the Breeze Conversation with the DJ podcast with your hosts, Eric Lee and Lorenzo Ice-T Thomas.
Yeah.
What's going on, Lo? What's going on, my brother?
What's happening, man?
Back in the saddle once again every Thursday night.
Damn.
You know how we do it.
Man, I get off one show and then I got to come on another, I have to say.
Damn.
That's right.
That's how I feel right now.
When you're good, that's what you got to do.
Thank you very much, man. I had to grab something to eat. Can I grab something real quick? Let me get another bite real quick.
Get another bite while you eat while I say this. Welcome to
All
Shoot
right.
the Breeze Conversation with the DJ podcast, where we get to do this each and every Thursday night. If you're checking us out on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter, make sure you hit the like button, subscription button, as well as notification. So every time we
Yeah, hit the bell like that.
just like that, so you can get the content. And of course, what we get a chance to do is, kind of shoot the breeze and have conversations with some friends, some family. For the most part, it's been all friends, and tonight will be no differently.
No different whatsoever, man. Looking forward to this one. Where's my VSU stuff at? I gotta go grab something real quick.
Bro.
That's what I was looking for. I left my hat upstairs. I'm gonna go get it real quick.
Hey, every time somebody from Virginia State chimes in, I'm putting my hat on. Matter of fact, you can hit us up in the chat lines when you get an opportunity. We'd love for you to be a part of the show. The brother that we're about to bring on tonight, like I said, Lorenzo and I have an opportunity. We were actually blessed to go to a university that pushed out so much talent in the music and the entertainment industry, and we just happen to be a part of it. So,
you know what's odd? Most of the talent has come from our era.
Yeah, that's true.
You think about it.
we had a lot of talent. Folks came through the era of when we were in the university. So, and the brother that I'm about to bring on tonight, man, Lorenzo. When I tell you, I had a chance to sit down and talk to Mark and about some of the things in the industry, and he just blew my mind. I'm like, dude, this is crazy. This is gonna be a history lesson. I'm telling you, it's gonna be just that in depth. We talked a little bit today, and he told me about some things. I was like, that's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. So I can't wait to get the show on the road. Ladies and gentlemen, this brother from another mother, he's worked with some of the biggest artists, the biggest labels. Give it up for my man, Mark Green, in the house. What up, Mark?
Hey, what's going on?
What's up, Mark?
What's happening?
How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. I want to say thank you to both of you guys. You know how we do.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a privilege and a pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah, man. It's definitely a pleasure and a privilege to have you on. And we've talked off and on over the years and have seen each other in different places. And I know Eric's gonna blow my mind because you kind of blew my mind when you sent me the little video and said, "Hey, just watch the beginning of this." And you want to talk about official cosign, and Eric will go through all that. But man, it's amazing what you've accomplished in your career, man. So we're so glad that we're able to have this opportunity to document it and give the brothers and sisters their flowers now. You know what I mean? So when they want to know something about Mark Green, boom, all they gotta do is pull up this conversation with the DJs. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Absolutely.
But first I want to give thanks to God, because I mean, when I think about my story and everything I've been through, and I think about where I am now, it's been a blessing. I'm living my dream. I mean, for the most part, I'm in good health. And when I talk to a lot of my friends, and I'm saying I'm really blessed to be able to say that I'm in, perfect health. So that's one thing I want to thank God for all his blessings.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. You got to give thanks for that.
Now, Mark,
Yes.
generally what we usually do, man, we start from the beginning, bro, and we kind of work our way. So how'd you get into, first of all, how'd you get into business?
Well,
How long you been in there? Because you got a story, bro. Let me shut up. Go ahead.
Well, growing up, man, like all other kids, I just enjoyed listening to music and watching the movies about music, and that's all I wanted to do. And, during that time, I started taking drum lessons and piano lessons. I think I was in like 8th grade. And I guess somewhere down the line, I ran into a guy named Freddie Williams, who was a friend of mine. He was like a neighbor. And we started talking about, forming a band because he played guitar and I played drums. And I went to his house. And when I got to his house, I was like, oh my God. I looked on his wall. He had all these platinum albums from the Jackson 5. And I was like, who is this guy? And then he explained to me who his uncle was. His uncle was named Freddie Perrin. And he was the guy who produced all the songs for the Jackson 5. He wrote I Will Survive for Gloria Gaynor, Tavares, Only Takes a Minute. He even did New Edition tracks. So, he was my first inspiration to getting into this business.
Okay. Good stuff. So
you gotta let them know what region of the country you're from, my brother, and where all this began.
Yes, sir. Right here in Hackensack, New Jersey, the big Hackensack, the big stack, y'all.
I'm here in the bottom, so in the bottom we say up top. You know what I mean? Yeah, yes. From up top.
There you go.
No doubt.
Now, Mark.
Yes.
How did you get into hip hop? Because one of the things that we're gonna talk about is the fact that, hip hop got a birthday this year.
Yep.
And everybody talking about 50 years of hip hop. And you've been around for I can't tell you all 50 years, but we're pretty close to
it. See.
So let's talk about your journey into hip hop. Because I heard your story and how it translated to our alma mater, Virginia State, and all the things that entail. Let's talk about that.
Well, during that time, this was like around 75, 76, we had a little band. Me and Freddie formed a band called Black Pearl. And we were playing all around, local areas in Bergen County, New Jersey, doing cocktail sips and parties. And by 1977 or 76, 77, disco started coming up, and it's coming in strong. So by then, a lot of the bands started to dissipate because, the funk band started kind of fading out because the disco was coming up. Mm-hmm. So our band, for the most part, broke up, and I decided just to keep the equipment, and I started, plug my turntables into the speakers and learn how to DJ. So I spent months and months practicing my craft, and when I was ready, I decided to hit the road. So the first event I did was at the high school. I did a party for free, and that turned out well, and somebody asked me to do a graduation party, and before you know it, I was doing a bunch of parties. And by now, this was 1976, 77. I had made a name for myself. That's me right there. That was my first turntable.
Hey. Now the struggle is real. Look, all you DJs out there with your little Seratos, your little Pioneers DJ, whatever them things are called. This is before the 1200, before the drive. You got to put a nickel on that thing to keep that needle down.
That's right. I couldn't afford two techniques. I had one technique, and then I had that contraption there.
Hey, Mark, you didn't have the closing play? Do you remember the closing play, dog? Do you remember those, Mark?
Yeah, I know you do, man. That's funny because this picture's from 1976. I was doing a party at the high school. It was a graduation party.
Yo, hey, Mark, do you remember when you would buy a cereal box and then you would get a record on the back of the cereal box? Do you remember those days? Yep. Oh, my goodness. Forget the prize. We wanted the record on the back of the cereal box, man.
That's right.
Wow,
old school.
Yeah, man.
So, from that point on, I started DJing around town. I was making a name for myself. And one day, a guy approached me. I was in Inglewood, New Jersey. He asked me to be, to come to the Bronx to be in this battle of the DJs. So I took him up on it. It was like during a weekday. I don't know if it was like a Thursday or Friday, because my partner, Rock Bottom, he couldn't come with me. So I went by myself, set up my equipment. When I got into the gymnasium, it was 3 crews, myself and 2 other crews. So I started off first. I'm DJing, I'm rocking the party and everything. Next thing I know, about 30 to 40 minutes later, the next crew came on. So basically everybody left me except for about 20 people and went over to the other side. So by now I hear a lot of commotion going on, and I saw some guys on the mic, and I was trying to find out what was going on over there. So I killed my set, packed it up, and then I decided to walk over to see what's happening. By that time, I think it was either 4 people or 2 people that were on the mic that started talking on the mic. I don't know what they were saying, but it sounded good to me, you know.
Right.
By the time they finished their set, the other group went on, and they started doing the same thing. So that night, I packed up my stuff, and the next thing I did, I went home and wrote my own rap and became ghetto famous the following week.
He said ghetto famous the following week.
That's right. I was doing shows every weekend, so I would get up there, and then the girls and guys would come over there and say, Mark, let me hear you sing that song. So I would go and drop my little rap that I had wrote for that day, and I would do it and over and over and over. Before I knew it, I had a big following.
Okay.
At that time, I was going to school with a guy named Guy O'Brien. He was a freshman, and I was a junior at the time. This was 1977. And he used to, you know, come to a lot of my events that I was doing.
Right.
And
that was a big year, 77.
Yeah, that was a big year. Because right after that, I got approached by Jerry Bledsoe, who was a radio DJ on WWRL in New York.
Right.
He asked me to be the first DJ on the TV show that he had called Soul Alive. So I went on Soul Alive. It was on WPIX, Channel 11. Went on there and I did my little DJ set.
The show was on PIX?
Yeah, it was on PIX.
Yeah, that's serious.
Yeah, it was serious.
Yeah.
You know, it was like a Soul Train, but it was based on high school. So all the high school students would select different students to come up there and dance, and you would have a guest DJ, and that's how that kind of went down.
Let me ask you this: 1977. That was the year of the blackout, right?
That's what I was going to get to.
Oh, okay. Eric is laughing.
Dude, no.
I don't know. Listen, I don't know the story.
No,
I think Mark has told Eric the story.
He told me the story today.
I know it's so. 77 was a big year.
It was a big year
for hip hop. For hip hop, go ahead, Mark.
That's what happened by 1977. You know, rap was only going on over there in the Bronx and maybe some other boroughs, but in Jersey, I brought it here, and it was starting to pick up momentum. The same thing with DJs. By the time the blackout hit in New York, all the stores, people were robbing stores and stealing equipment. By the end of 1977, everybody was DJing and rapping. I couldn't even believe it. I was like, oh my God, this is like something I couldn't even think of. And so in 1977, all that started taking place. By 78, Guy had already formed his little crew, and he started DJing and doing his little rap stuff. I was
who was that again?
You by 1978.
Which group? I mean,
Guy. He was called Phase. He had a group called Phase 2. I think it was him and another guy from Hackensack, and they had their little DJ set up, and they were doing their little rapping and stuff. You know, so by then I had met this guy in person, Freddie Perrin, who was the producer for all those top records. He was the Teddy Riley of his time. Let's just put it that way. Okay. He did everybody from LTD to the Bee Gees to you name it. So when I met him, I was so excited because I had decided I'm going to be a DJ. That was my day. I was going to school. I was going to be a DJ. And Freddie said, no. I said, Freddie, you know, I was on TV. I did this and that. I'm going to be a DJ. He says, no, Mark. He said, listen, you don't want to play the music. You want to make the music. He told me to go to Howard. He said, study music, learn how to play all the instruments, and you come out and you produce and write the songs. And I said, okay. I went to Howard. I went down there for visitation, but I had been in the streets all my life. So going to Howard, I just didn't see I was going to graduate. I saw too many opportunities to make money. And I was like,
in DC, for sure. DC. Right.
And I said, this ain't going to work for me.
Yeah. And Howard is located like right in the middle of the city.
Yeah,
for those that don't know. Right. So it's not a campus per se.
No. Right. And you know, I had a lot of family in Virginia, so Virginia kind of made sense to me. So as soon as I got down there, I rolled down there with all my equipment. I was DJing at 2 clubs, Mr. J's in Petersburg and another club in Richmond. I think I was DJing from Thursday through Sunday. In my freshman year, I ended up being on probation because I was never at class. I kept missing my morning classes. And
okay.
Yeah.
You know what? Now I'm not really mad at you because my freshman year, I ended up on probation. The my first year, first semester, and I'm gonna blame it on your frat and the Deltas. I'm gonna blame it on the students. I'm gonna blame it on the Deltas because y'all threw parties that whole first semester, and I don't think I missed one of them. Right. So I ain't had time to study.
That whole school thing was a whole new experience. I'd never seen so many fine Black women in my life.
Right.
I got down there and I was DJing. I was making a name for myself.
Hold on. Before we do that, we talking about the 50 years of hip hop. You didn't got to Virginia State, but before you got to Virginia State, one of the most influential songs that was ever created was ushered in by you some form of fashion. Can we go back to that?
Sure.
Well, talk about it.
Well, first I want to give credit to Master G because if he hadn't co-signed the story, it would never have been told.
Master G, my mellow is on you. So what you gonna do?
So for those of you who don't know, Guy O'Brien became Master G. And again, he gave me credit for introducing him to hip hop, to rap. Because back then we didn't know what we just called it rap. It wasn't hip hop. It was just something that we did. It was called rap, So I thank him for allowing me to receive my credentials as an early influencer of hip hop.
MAS, a TER, a G with a double E.
That's right, my dude.
The rapper's delight. If you weren't, everybody outside of definitely New York and Jersey, that was one of the first rap songs we heard. Yep. Sugar Hill Gang. And the fact that he co-signed it and said, yeah, Mark was the guy that introduced it. Now, you told me when you were telling cats at Virginia State, you introduced that, nobody believed you.
Nobody believed me. After a while, I just stopped saying it because, by then there was a lot more guys who were more talented than myself. And we had a lot of guys who could just spit from just looking at you. I wasn't that type of guy. I had to write my stuff down and study it and then kind of, do my thing.
Well, hold on. Let's hear from the horse's mouth.
DJing hip hop and rapping, DJing and rapping. Exactly. So right about that time, right around 77, I got the ideal. By this time, I was living in Hackensack. I got the ideal to start DJing in my neighborhood to make a little money.
That's right.
And then I got turned on to rapping by an upperclassman.
Okay.
So now I'm rapping. I'm doing this thing. I'm going through Hackensack. I'm in Englewood, and I'm moving around. And by happenstance, I run into the store.
Hold on there. So rap music had reached Jersey just through tapes. You were getting
word of mouth.
Okay.
I had never even
heard it.
I had never heard anybody rapping from New York.
Okay.
The only person I heard rapping was a guy named Mark Green, who was an upperclassman, went to my school, and I heard him rapping at a party in Hackensack.
And is that Mark Green of Celebrity?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That's my man.
There you
Mark
go.
Green. What's up, Mark?
Shout out to Mark Green.
Shout out to Mark Green.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's major, man.
That's major, baby.
That's major.
So everybody from state that ever doubted Mark, we got it. It's documented.
Wow, that's great. Because I tell you, like I said, I'm not trying to be a rapper right now, or I'm not even trying to be in that game, but I just want the story to be told as we're talking about the history of hip hop. Right. I was there.
Yeah. Hey, Mark, can you elaborate for those that may not be aware of that? Because we're talking about, one of the first records in hip hop, but how important the not even the mixtape, just the live hip hop tape was around the tri-state area. You had to make sure you had the most recent Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 5 or the Cold Crush or the Fearless 4. Those tapes were circulating throughout the city, and we would go wherever we could to try to find how we can get them tapes. In fact, some of them would be sold in the OJs. You see what I'm saying? You can get into OJ and you can get some of the mixtapes out of that. And that's how I was kind of introduced to hip hop by way of the mixtape. So talk about, well, not even mixtape, just the tapes themselves. Talk about how important that game was before everything went to vinyl.
Oh yeah, definitely, because that was the only way you really heard about what's going on. You have to remember, we came up, we were in high school, so a lot of people couldn't really go out to the clubs or venture over to the city. You know, I had a car, so I was all over the place. But the mixtapes were very important, and it was almost like it was like a secret society to get them.
Right.
Where'd you get that tape from? You know,
no, it was almost like trying to buy some drugs in order to get
exactly.
Exactly.
You know,
some of the drug dealers were selling the tapes.
They sure were.
That's right.
Yep.
No, really, it's like the memory's coming back. Not that I bought drugs, but you know what I'm saying.
I got some weed. I got this 8-track.
I mean, people would pay a lot of money for those tapes. I mean, you know, $20 sounds like a little bit now, but that was a lot of money back then.
Right.
Shout out to Heart Attack. What's up, Tack?
One of my favorites was Grandmaster Caz and the rhyme he had about Yvette.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? A long time ago that I'll never forget, I got caught in the bed with a girl named Yvette. You know what I mean? And someone's knocking on the door.
Right.
And somebody coming. Yeah, me. You know what I'm saying? so that was like one of my favorite rhymes. If I heard it, I could probably say it with it. But and that's why Grandmaster Caz is respected the way he is today, to this day, as one of the best to ever do it.
Yes, and I'm glad he's gotten his credit because we all know the story.
Right.
Yes.
Right. You want to share a little bit of that because were you around for some of that?
I wasn't around for that because I was hanging out in the clubs, all the clubs that was happening back there,
right,
and going. But again, this was it was new. It was just something that we were doing for fun. It wasn't it wasn't about making money. As I was with yesterday, I was at this event and I can't even think his name. We were talking and he was just talking about how we all did this back in the day for love.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and that's basically what it was. Nobody thought this was going to go any further than where it was at the time.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't think there would be 50 years later we'd be talking about and all the money that hip hop would be making.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. Sylvia Rome did see something. She had a vision.
Yeah. Sylvia Robinson.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Sylvia Rome.
Yes.
Yeah. We all know who Sylvia Rome is. My fault.
Yeah. Shout out to my man Thomas Williams, VSU in the house. Thank you, brother, for checking in.
I love it.
He said, "Yeah, got to throw the state hat on."
That look a little small. Look a little small when you miss. Okay.
Can't put it over that. So, let's go back to state now. So you at state now.
So I was at state. You know, by this time it was 1978. And guy called me up. He said, "Yo, man, we making a record." I said, "What are you talking about?" He says, "Yeah, we're making a record off, Good Times." And I said, "What?" And he played me the record, and I got so excited, but I did get jealous too. I ain't gonna lie. Mm-hmm. I was like, "Damn, he's making a record. I should be that guy making the record." Mm-hmm. So when the record came out, I mean, I was in college, so I was down at V State. They sent me the record right away. I was probably one of the first people in Virginia to have the record because I had made that connection with Sugar Hill through Guy. And I remember even playing that record one day at Mr. J's club. He didn't like the record, but everybody and the mother wanted to hear that record. They kept requesting that record over and over and over. And at that time I played the record. He came and threw the record off the radio and off the record player and actually picked me up and started choking me.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I ended up leaving that club and trying to sue him.
That's
during
important.
that whole time, I think around Thanksgiving, I went home, and when I came back, my apartment had been robbed. They stole every single record I had. They stole my clothes, all my speakers. I had a drum set, a saxophone, a keyboard. All that was gone. My place was empty, and that pretty much ended my DJ career because I didn't have the money to purchase all those records I had accumulated over the years. Right. I didn't have the money for the turntables. My parents were not buying me anything. They didn't care. they was kind of happy because I almost dropped out of school. So they was happy. So that was it. I couldn't DJ no more.
Man. So how'd you
wait, were you living in Petersburg?
I was living in Petersburg on River Road.
On River Road, River Road Apartments.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Know that area.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time over there in those apartments. Yeah,
man.
They knew where you were and they knew where you lived.
Yeah. So
fortunate. Well, maybe fortunate for you, right?
It was kind of fortunate because I ended up going into working with a guy named Ed Graves, known as Woodstock, and another person.
That's my dude. He sold me all
Richmond.
my cars. He sold me all my cars. That's my Ed Graves is my dude.
Yeah, so I started working as a roadie for those guys, producing and promoting concerts and just doing the whole setup. And that's how I got into where I am now.
Okay. Shout out to Woodstock, aka Ed Graves. That's my dude.
Yeah.
I used to hang out with him and Steve Branch at the club back in the day.
Yes, definitely.
So you go ahead.
And Steve Branch has been on the show already, Mark. I don't know if you know. He's been on. He's been a guest. Yeah.
Steve been on the show.
Yeah, he has.
So, you know, during that time, after G and I had hooked up, he got me an opportunity to intern at Sugar Hill Records. So through 1981 all the way to 83, I was there doing intern. Mm-hmm. And I started learning a lot of ropes there. I was working as an assistant engineer with a guy named Billy Jones, who later came in. There was another engineer named Shamik, who was a little bit younger. But during that time, me, Angie Stone, Angie B at the time, we were good friends. Me, Flash, and Melly Mel, we all knew each other. I would always be in the studio with Sylvia Robinson. And then, as they say, we fix it in the mix. Yeah, we did everything at night. After the songs were cut, me and the engineer would be in there and we would fix it. Sylvia would come in and she may stay a half an hour, 30 minutes, depending on what it was. She said, change this, change that. And then she was out, you know. The thing with her, the good thing with her, she took a liking to me. So she took me everywhere she went. You know, we did any shows in the New York area. I was with her. I just learned a lot from watching her.
Right. And some people, tell me if I'm wrong, Mark, but that's Sylvia Robinson is the same Sylvia that did the Piddle Talk.
Yes,
song,
exactly.
Right? Yep. Okay, yeah. Yep. Which Janet Jackson just recently remade.
Wow.
Yeah, she just did it, and just how Janet talks and how she sounds. So there's a pretty good job on it too. But Sylvia, that was a sexy song. So.
Yeah. There was many things happening during that time in the studio, you know. And I just think about one time when we had this group called Positive Force, and Sylvia was signing them, and she decided she wanted to make them the band for the Sugar Hill Gang. But at the time, they turned it down. They said no, they just wanted to concentrate on doing what they did, and that's when she formed the other band with Doug and Craig David and a few other people.
Okay. So when you decided to take this hip hop thing serious, and you hooked up with one of our boys that did the show. Duckett was our first person outside of our radio cats. He was the first industry guy that was on the show. So you and Bobby Duckett, how all that went down? Tell us.
I can't believe Bobby Duckett was on the show. He didn't talk about me. Him and I were like two peas in a pot. We were everywhere. We did everything together.
Right. You got Hush Productions at that time, right?
Yeah, we were at Hush Productions. I came in and we were both hired at the same time. Bobby was there probably a little bit earlier than I was. And I had already met Bo and Melba when I was in college, because when we were in college, I met two people and I asked them for a job. It was Melba Moore and Phyllis Hyman. Both of them told me to call them when I got out of college. So I called Melba and she told me to come meet with Bo and Charles. So when I met with them, they gave me the job and they said, we want you to work with this guy, Bobby Duckett. So me and Bobby started off from the beginning. We went from Lilo Thomas to Eddie Murphy to Melba Moore, Melissa Morgan, Freddie Jackson, Najee, Ray Goodman and Brown, Force MDs. I can go on and on and on, but we were on the road forever.
Okay, that's what's up.
Yeah.
Now, You said something. You said something that because all of us got stories, and you said Phyllis called you.
Yes.
And I'm a big Phyllis Hyman fan.
Yes.
And in this picture right here, is this Keith Washington, right?
Yep.
Keith Washington, Howard Hewitt, and Tommy the Hitman Hearns.
Yes.
For y'all that don't know who Tommy the Hitman Hearns is, if you watch Martin, that was the one that beat up Martin.
Right.
But I say this because Phyllis, man, I love me some Phyllis Hyman. And she was performing at the Hampton Coliseum, and I went to go see her perform. Now, I thought she was going to headline. Keith Washington had the hit, the biggest hit, because it was on like a soap opera, Kissing You.
Kissing You.
And he was going to close the show. Phyllis wasn't feeling that. She was outside telling everybody that she was not going to perform that night. Wow. And everybody in the Coliseum was like, what? She said that I am not performing because they got Keith Washington closing the show. Dang. And you talking, man, that Phyllis was off the chain. But you talk about a sister that could sing.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember that. She was out because we were like this. You know, Phyllis is a tall woman.
Yeah, she's tall.
She had on heels. And she was in front of the Coliseum. It was like, not performing. Y'all can go see Keith. Whoa.
Did she end up performing that night?
Nah.
Wow.
That was, man, I cracked up laughing. I said, this is some messed up stuff here. But I've seen Phyllis perform all over the place. So, but the fact that she did that, I heard stories that she could be a diva. And she was a diva that night. But the fact that she reached out to you to bring you on, that's kind of hot there, Mark. That's kind of hot.
Yeah. I mean, I had a lot of great opportunities. One other opportunity is during the time of hip hop. It was 1985. I was called in to manage a group called the Boogie Boys, and at that time, Fly Girl. Yeah, and that was like my first major tour where I was totally in charge of everything. I was the road manager, tour manager, and when I was out with the Boogie Boys, we got picked up to be the opening act for the Swatch tour, which was the Fat Boys. And that tour ended up later on turning into what you now know as the Fresh Fest. So we were on that whole tour. I still got my jacket from the tour.
Man, and some liquor back there. I see.
Yeah.
He still got your jacket. That was the first concert. Was that the one with Run DMC?
Yeah, they ended up coming on because at that time, the Fat Boys was hotter than fish grease.
Right.
They had the movies out and everything. Right. So they had the Swatch tour, and then they became the headliner. And then we brought on Run DMC, Curtis Blow, LL Cool J. And we toured, I think we had one record. I think we toured for like a whole year. And the crazy thing about that is like, leaving I'm in the New York area, the tri-state area. I'm thinking I know everything about everything. But what I didn't realize is that there's more niggas that was kind of like slicker and crazier than us in different places. I mean, I got beat in Birmingham, Alabama, and then there was Nashville, Tennessee. So, as I tell people, there's projects and gangsters in every city.
Yes, sir.
It's not where you from, it's where you at.
Where you at, right?
That's right. So we were in, and one thing I learned about when we were on the road, the different areas where hip hop was almost stronger than New York. And I look back, I remember going to California. California embraced us like we were movie stars. That place back in the 80s, because you got to remember, early 80s, we were doing nothing but roller skating rings, little nightclubs.
Right.
And that was it. When we went to LA, we were doing arenas and theaters. I couldn't even imagine what we were doing, but we went to different places in LA, and it was just crazy because they just embraced hip hop. And that's probably why they sell so many records out there, because back in the early days, they embraced it more than New York.
Right. Shout out to my girl Vita. She's in the house, VSU. My girl, Fresh Festival, all that. Yeah, VSU definitely checks in on when we do this thing, man. Now, we talking about, what year is this?
That was 1985.
85. Okay, yep, all right. 85.
So right when I was out on the road, I was out there with Curtis Blow, and we had Roxanne, we had UTFO was out on the tour with us, Red Alert, Sparky D, Guys who made kids. What is it?
Kid and Play, Salt and Pepper on there too.
Kid and Play.
Salt and Pepper.
Salt and Pepper wasn't out there with us then. Matter of fact, after I had left the road, I went to become an agent, and they were one of the first groups I signed. The first groups I signed as an agent was Salt and Pepper, Kid and Play, and also Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
Is this something that what's this right here?
Yes, that was my first letter that I sent to Will Smith. That was his first show. It was 1986. He had graduated in June. That show was in August. And the first show we did was at the Latin Quarters. And I hadn't seen Will in 30 years. And I ended up running into him. And I gave him a copy of his first letter and contract and his business card. He was in shock. He couldn't believe it.
I think I've seen this picture.
Yeah, he was like, where did you get this card from? How did you keep that letter for so long in the contract? And that was crazy. I was so excited because, by now, Bill's a movie star.
Right.
I signed him when he was nobody.
And Vita, like, wow.
Yeah.
Now, as soon as I saw this, I was like, hey, Mark, was this pre-slap or post-slap when you ran back up on him?
Yeah, that was pre-slap.
Pre-slap.
That was pre-slap.
Yeah. So we were together, man. And what happened was he was doing a book tour. Right. And I was determined to see him because I said, man, I ain't seen this guy since I signed him. I ain't had no passes or anything. So I ran into Charlie Mack, who I didn't know at the time. And I was asking him to get me backstage. And he was like, I can't do it.
Is he the first on the limo? That dude?
Yeah, that Charlie Mack. So I showed him a copy of the letter and the card. And he asked me, could he have it to show Will? And I said, all right. I said, well, just get me backstage. And after I gave it to him, he said, I can't do nothing for you. So I was angry. I was mad as hell. I was sitting in the damn show. I wasn't even paying attention. Nothing was going on. I said, why the hell did I give him my contract and this and that? But out of nowhere, Charlie found me in the theater. This was in Brooklyn at the King's Theater. He found me and he said, listen, man, Will and Jeff want to see you right away, right after the show. So meet me backstage. So I was back there on the side of the stage and I had no credentials. So the cops were trying to throw me out. And just as they were throwing me out, he came out. He said, no, let that guy back. So that's when he brought me back to meet Will and Jeff. And it was like a beautiful reunion.
Right. That's what I'm talking about.
Incredible story, man.
That is
incredible story right there.
The fact that you were there at the beginning.
And Will is still the same person. He really hasn't changed that much, from all the early years that you were working with him. And I know I've interviewed him early in my career and have had the opportunity to sit down and interview him in a trailer for like an hour and a half. And what you see with him is what you get with Will,
Wow.
I mean, pre-slap, of course.
Right.
But he's still the same dude, man. So I know he embraced you and showed you nothing but love and appreciation.
Yeah, I was totally shocked. I just wish I had more time to sit down and talk with him. But there was Melly Mel and Eric B and all of them that was waiting online. But Charlie Mack just brushed me through all of them and put me right to the forefront. So I was excited for that.
Yeah, Charlie Mark is responsible for this. I think they're calling it something going on in Atlantic City.
Yeah, Atlantic City. Yep.
What is it called? Hip hop. 50 artists, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he's the brains behind that.
Wow.
Yeah. So when has it happened yet, or is it coming up?
No, it's coming up. It's coming up.
Okay. In Atlantic City. Yeah.
Yep.
That's what's up. Look, if you're checking us out, feel free to hit us up in the chat line. Love to make you a part of the show. If you're checking us out on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscription button as well as the notification button. As we provide this content every Thursday, you will be notified, let you know what's coming down the line. And if you're on Facebook, do hit the like button. Shout out to my man, Jerry Carter, Jacques Cartier, first program director.
It's Miller time. It's Miller time.
WFOS Norfolk, my man. So now you started your agency. You're signing Salt and Pepper, Will Smith, all that. What's next?
Well, it wasn't my agency. I was working for ABC.
ABC, okay.
got a job to work at William Morris. I was there for a short time. They decided to move me to LA, and I was a New York guy, so I wasn't trying to move to LA. So I left.
Man, he's done all this stuff before we even started our radio career.
I started my radio career.
We haven't even started radio yet. I'm like, damn. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting, but it just hit me. I'm like, yo, we haven't even started yet.
Yeah. No, I didn't want to go. I had already signed. They wanted to put me back in the mailroom. I had already signed, Tyrone, Fly Ty. He gave me a lot of groups. He gave me Biz Markie, MC Shan, Roxanne Shante. Right. I had signed all of those guys to the agency. But at the time, hip hop was too new. And the agency didn't know what it was. They, my boss and I got into it. He was like, listen, I'm tired of you booking this shitty shit and shabby shab. You better book some BB King and Bobby Blue Bland. You got to realize that back then, hip hop, the average fee was $1,500. If you had a good record, it was $3,500, but it never went higher than $5,000. So we would travel $1,500 to $3,500 for damn near a year doing shows all over.
So you telling me Run DMC and the Fat Boys was only making $5,000 a show?
Probably so, yep. At the high end, maybe 10, but it was never more than that by the time they became, because, realize that no one knew what was going on with hip hop, especially the record labels. They had no clue what to do and how to do it. When I finally got my job in the record business, I was in charge of the rap department, and it was like they had no clue. They signed a bunch of junk. I mean, so many rap records that we signed, you probably have heard of. We probably had the worst label there was out there in terms of R&B and hip hop. After taking over the job in rap, I decided that it's time for us to make a record. So I went on and got a friend of mine named Crush, DJ Crush. You there? And him and I had knew each other from Virginia State. And we talked about forming a company. The company was called On Cue Records, and his company was SGL Productions. So we put this company together.
Who's that, Crush?
Yeah, that's Crush right there.
I do. What up, Crush?
What's up, Crush?
Yeah.
And so him and I put together this idea of doing this record. I came up with the idea of taking the song Midnight Hour and making a story about why they always playing rap music after 12. Because if you remember back in the day, they didn't play rap music during the day. It had to be after 12.
Right.
That's when it came on.
We talk about that just about every week when we have people on. It's like, for you youngins that listen to rap at 6 o'clock in the morning, you couldn't do that back in the day.
No. And you gotta take your hats off to Red Alert and Chuck Chill Out and Flex, and also Ralph McDaniels, because these were the guys who actually gave us an opportunity to hear and listen to our music.
Right.
There was no platform, there was no MTV wasn't playing our shit. Nobody was doing none of the stuff that we were doing at the time.
Right.
So at this time, Crush and I had started our own label, independent label, and during that time when we were doing the label, we were recording in the studio in Jersey, and there was another group that was coming in there recording at the same time. And they ended up changing their name. Their first name was New Style. And then they were recording the record, and the record came OPP, and they changed their name to Naughty by Nature. So they were coming in when we were always coming out. We were in the studio at the same time. So our records dropped the same time.
Okay.
So what happened with our record is eventually I went to Red Alert because I knew him from the Fresh Fest, and I would say, Red, here's my record. And he was like, nah, not ready yet. Went back to him again. We made some changes. He said, nope, not yet. So at this particular time, I just said, let's just do something different. I decided to take Latin music. We were probably the first people to do this. We took the Latin keyboards, the familiar Latin keyboards that everybody knows that sound, and we put it in a rap record.
Okay.
And that rap record, we just pressed it up. We just said, forget it. We're just going to press this record up and go for it. We pressed it up, and I gave it to Red Alert, and probably a few weeks later, I'm riding down the street in my car, and I hear the record on the radio. I think I turned that radio up to 10 and rolled down all my windows. I could not believe my record was on the radio. That was the highlight of my career, hearing a record that we wrote and produced on the radio.
That's
called
what's
Midnight Hour by Spice MC.
So MC.
Okay.
Yes. So that was 1989.
Right.
So again, rap music was just really coming up. You know, the Boogie Boys were one of the first people to have a record on a major label. They were on Capitol. Curtis Blow, I think, was the first one, and then Houdini. And I think we were like the third to have one on major labels, because as you may know, none of the labels were signing no rap music because they didn't know what it was and what to do with it.
True.
Right.
Everybody all the independents had the labels and they knew how to work it underground. These guys had no clue. The funny thing about it was when I was there at EMI, I'm trying to tell them what to do and how to do it, but nobody listened to me. I don't know, because the way I dressed or the way I talk. So what I did was I told Crush, because Crush looked straight out of Harlem, straight out of Queens playbook.
Right.
He had all the gear and the belt and the look. And I told him what to do. I said, listen, man, you're going to go here. You're going to meet with this guy. You're going to tell him this and that.
Right.
Well, Crush took the same record I had been trying to get signed. He went in there and they signed the record. And they offered him a job to work at the record label.
Man, somebody call Crush, get him on the line.
Man.
Yeah,
he knows how to talk to those people.
Yeah. But the problem was Crush didn't want it. I said, come on, man, take the job. He didn't want to take the job. And, he kind of made comment that, he basically said what I told him to say, and we got the record deal. We got the deal done.
Right. Wow.
Well, you got to realize back then, rap record deals were like $5,000-$10,000. The most was at $40,000. I think Hammer's first deal was $40,000. And he sold at $10 million records.
Yeah. That's when he was selling them out the back of his Please Hammer Don't Hurt Him. Selling them out the back of his car. Then Capitol signed him.
Yeah, because the record labels became pimps once they figured the game out. They pimped us to no end. True. Especially when they had to change the CDs and vinyl.
Right.
They knew that CDs were coming up. So what they did was they would sign you, give you a low rate on CDs and gave you a high rate on vinyl. And of course, everybody went for that. Right. Not knowing that in about 2 months, vinyl was going to be out of here.
Look, they knew the folks over at Sony making the CD players about to go to Circuit City, Best Buy, and the Wiz. Everybody knew it was coming.
Yeah, man. So you took a low percentage rate, a royalty rate with the CDs, and the CDs end up taking over the vinyl, and you end up losing in the long run.
Yeah. So when Jay-Z said he gonna make them pay for what they did to the Cold Crush. Yeah. Speaking of, let's go back to this.
You found that photo.
Yeah, I found that photo.
Wow.
Man, can we find Jay-Z in here?
Yeah, I see him.
Uh-huh.
Oh my goodness.
What was this? Jazzo's? What was a wedding?
Well, no, this was EMI was just announcing that R&B and hip hop people that we had, and that was Evelyn King,
Evelyn Champagne on the left.
It looks like Jay-Z and Jazz, and who else we had? Spice MC in there somewhere.
Okay,
and I forgot who that guy is there, but we didn't have no real great R&B,
right?
Not till we got the OJs, but I remember working with Jazz and Jay-Z, taking them on the road, and Jay-Z was so quiet.
Sophie. Was it Sophie?
Laid back and quiet, What
was the name of that song? Hawaiian Sophie? Was that the name of the song? Hawaiian Sophie.
Was the song we worked Hawaiian Sophie. That was like a frisbee. That shit didn't go nowhere.
Well, we played it. We played it in Richmond.
Okay.
Yeah, we played it.
We played it.
We played it.
We played it.
Wow.
We played it.
That was the first time
I can remember it.
Yeah.
Maxwell did you a favor.
Yeah, when I hung out with Jay-Z and Jazzo, like I said, Jay-Z was, he was quiet and laid back. And then one day he started rapping, and I was in shock. And that's when he did The Originator. And I was like, wow, dude, I didn't know you could rap like that, And that's kind of when he started coming out and started shining on his own.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. That's funny to see. When I saw that, I was like, "Is that Jay-Z in the cut?" Okay.
Yo, and I remember those hats too. I had some of those.
Yeah.
It said the Jazz on the side in red. The front was red, black, and green, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I had one of those hats. Oh, wow. Snap.
Yeah,
you know I had to have it if I remember what this is black and white. I remember the colors of it.
Yep. You sure you hit it right on the nose.
Man.
Oh man.
So
that's a crazy photo right there, man.
Oh, that is a crazy photo. That is a crazy photo. Now you said you spoke about Curtis Blow, and for a lot of people, they felt Curtis Blow was one of the first or the first rap record. We would always get into arguments. Was it Sugar Hill? Was it Curtis Blow? But the picture right here, man, look at here. You talking about the basis of hip hop, and somebody might say, well, who's the guy to the left or the right, depending on where you're standing, of to the left of Curtis Blow? That's Leor Cohen.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And for folks that don't know who Leor is, that's Russell Simmons' partner, who started Def Jam. And he's also Kevin Lyle's partner, who started 300 Entertainment. So what the hell is 300 Entertainment? Meg Thee Stallion. Mm-hmm. What's it? Young Thug. He's got, Gunna, all of those. And he's also responsible for Method, Jay-Z, Redman, LL, EPMD, Foxy Brown. All of that came under Leor, who's a big part of the culture.
So, and Leor was on the road with us. I think it was the road manager of Run DMC at the time when we were on the road back in the 80s.
That's right, he was.
Yeah.
And Def Jam.
Yeah.
The biggest, with the biggest label at hip hop at one time.
Yep.
Who's the guy standing to your right, Mark?
That's Rocky. Rocky is now the president of the Universal Hip Hop Museum. And Rocky has a long history, too, of being an independent record label and producer.
He looks familiar.
He does.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, he's the guy. He's our leader now, leading the Universal Hip Hop Museum, which is opening in August 24. And here's my shirt, as you can see.
Where's it located?
It's going to be in the Bronx.
In the Bronx? Okay.
Yep, right there by Yankee Stadium in the Bronx market.
So we got our own hip hop. So it's going to talk about
over 56,000 square feet, huh?
It's going to talk about where it started, where it is now.
Matter of fact, right now we are accepting, artifacts and anything that you may have that you want to place in the museum. And if you got enough stuff, you get your own spot. Where it be Eric Lee's.
Hey, I got pictures with me, Pac, me, and Biggie,
That's what we need. Get those pictures to me.
You need pictures?
Yeah, pictures and albums, whatever you want to donate. Or you can do a loan or donate to the museum.
Wow. I got a signed Chronic album from Dre. Dre signed my Chronic.
Man. Put that in the museum. I'm
yeah.
calling you tomorrow.
Yeah, the thing about it is, for the folks that are out there, Lorenzo and I used to be music directors, respectfully, at some of the radio stations. And when artists came through, you signed their stuff. You signed their stuff when it came through, and you never thought it was going to be worth much. Hell, Jay signed off on the Reasonable Doubt album. Dre signed off on his the Chronic. The Brat signed off on Functified.
That is stuff that we want. We want.
Right.
You want to be able to show the world, because right now people coming. Right now we have a storefront.
Vito want to know that do you have a section? He should have a section if he don't.
Yes, of course.
I just remember all of the jackets it was like a badge of honor to be able to wear your Def Jam jacket with your name on it. I had a KRS-One jacket with my name on it, and a Tommy Boy jacket.
Yes.
The cardigan was like cardigan. What'd you say, E?
I had my names on mine, and they still got stolen. It's like, how you gonna walk around with my name on it?
The Def Jam jacket was that was a fashion statement. We'd wear that out. So the average person can see us wearing it.
Yes.
Man, so you got the museum open, and shout out to you guys for putting it together. When I go to New York, I definitely got to go check that out because I want to see some of the stuff that you guys put in there. So let's talk about the 50 years of hip hop really quick, and where rap started, which was party music, having a good time. Then it got a little gangster.
Conscious.
Got conscious first, right?
Conscious.
Then it got gangster.
Mm-hmm.
And what is this drill rap now? I mean, it's changed so drastically. So the stuff that we used to, party and hang out to, it's kind of hard to, for me, it's kind of hard to listen to.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Okay. No, we sound like old folks now.
We are.
No, absolutely. Yeah. Even with the trap music, it took me a minute to get into that. But, you know, I mean, again, you have to look where hip hop has come and where it is now. I mean, basically, we are financially responsible for a lot of product that's being marketing and sold.
Right.
Fashion, you're talking music, you're talking electronics, media, anything that has to do with anything, hip hop has a piece of it.
Right.
And it's unfortunate that the people who created it aren't getting paid like the people that are getting paid now. Mm. Me as an agent, I know what people get paid. So when you see a guy like a Melly Mel or Curtis Blow who have tons of hits, and then there's a guy that just comes out yesterday and he's demanding $25,000-$40,000 to perform for one single. I mean, a lot of these young guys are becoming millionaires in a weekend because they're asking for $200 or $300 a show, and people are paying it.
Man,
it's back then when Drake first came out, it was just unheard of. He was asking for like $300,000. People was like, "What?" But people paid it.
Yeah.
So when you see stuff like that, it just escalated. I remember when I first started my agency in 1999. Rap, a lot of the major agencies weren't really into hip hop. It wasn't until when they saw that Jay-Z, Method Man, DMX, that tour that happened in 1999, I think it was.
I was there.
It was successful.
There. Yeah.
And when the agency saw that, they went after everybody. They were offering them movie deals, commercials. Because at that time, I had signed a lot of underground rap that wasn't known back here. It was Juvenile and Little John and the East Side Boys, 8 Ball and MJG. I was booking those guys before they even became popular here. They didn't even really have any record deals. And then once the record came out, the Ludacris and all that, all the major agencies went after these guys. And before you knew it, I started losing everybody.
So what would you say the reason is? Because just a stat recently came out this past week that no hip hop record has been number one, or no album has been number one on the charts as of yet. And we're halfway through the year and it hasn't happened. What do you think the reasons are for that, Mark?
I think there's and I really don't know how the record business works now, but based on all the streaming and everything that's happening, so many different outlets to get music. Mm-hmm. If records are based on, if airplay is based on the records or whatever, of course, that's the reason why. I can't really tell you because, again, I'm not in the record business anymore. Mm-hmm. But just knowing that all this, all the ideas of streaming, the downloads and everything that you can get now without even having to purchase the record, Yeah,
but a lot of artists are not even, who was it that we were talking to a couple of weeks ago, where they were talking about the fact that their 19-year-old artists didn't even know what radio was.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes.
They said was it Craig?
No, it was the girl that worked at CDX.
Yeah. June. She was like
June Jones.
She said, I've got artists. We're talking about bringing them. Hey, we're gonna do radio. And they was like, what's radio?
19 years of age.
She said they don't have radios in their houses.
Crazy.
Artists had no idea.
But just think about that. If they're 19, they were born when? In 2004?
Yeah.
2005? Yeah, they don't have. How many of us really have a radio in their house? You know what I mean? I don't have I work the radio. I don't have a radio in my house. I listen to it, on my phone or on my Fire Stick or on my TV. Those are so many different ways. But I don't have a radio, so a lot of people don't. A lot of people don't have a radio in their house. I guess
it's like us walking around with a two-way pager.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is when we were coming up, we knew every rapper, we knew every song, we knew the lyrics. Now you can't even keep up with all the music that's coming out for these new guys.
You can't.
People are like, so and so. I'm like, who?
Well, they got new. I mean, the distribution is the internet now. So
right.
Because I'll go to Spotify on a Thursday night or a Friday just to see what they release, what their new releases are, just to get an idea, and then go through their list. And I think they got a tab there where you can see how many days it's been up, so that'll let you know how new the song is. Or you can go to YouTube and subscribe to some of the artists, and when they release their songs, boom, they're out there. But that's the way to find your new music. And no one's going to radio because radio's not in the business for breaking records. So,
well, this year as we continue to talk about 50 years of hip hop, some of the biggest old school groups are all getting back together to tour across the country. I saw the big concert going on in New York at Yankee Stadium. That's going to be crazy. We got our own concert down here in Atlanta. We're going to let everybody know about that real soon. But you got a chance to rock with the ruler, Slick Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been blessed to work with so many people. A lot of times people, I guess, they look at me like I'm always posting pictures with me and artists on my Instagram.
What you working, brother?
But the thing is, sometimes I forget all the people I work with, and I try to put stories behind the Instagram posting so I can remember, some of the things that we've done. I mean, there's been so many people I've been blessed to work with, and that's the only way I can keep up with who I've worked with.
But it's what you do, Mark. It's your job. So that's what Instagram is all about. People are living vicariously through other people and what they're posting on IG. So that's what they tell us to do. Hey, show people your life and what you do,
Right.
So, so that's what you do. So that's what you do.
I
think that's where I saw that Will Smith picture, because I think he posted that. I knew I saw that before.
Yeah, because somebody, when I got into Instagram, I was like, I don't know what to post on here. And somebody says, well, why don't you post the people you work with? And that's how it all got started. So, I try to take a picture with everybody I can, because when I look back in my career, I look back at some of the people that I wish I had taken pictures with, and I say, man, like I remember one time working with, meeting Gordon Parks, and he invited me to his house. And I remember he gave me a signed picture of the picture with the lady with the mop behind the American flag, that photo. And I thought about him and a bunch of other people that I worked with over the years that I didn't have any photos with, who were legends, So to me, whenever I get an opportunity to grab a photo, to have a discussion, it's an honor for me.
People are asking, what's your IG, Mark?
Celebrity Talent Inc. So I think that's what it is.
Speaking of, let's go back with the God and Mr. Cheeks.
Mr. Cheeks, yes.
It's been a long time.
Yes.
Since I left you without a strong beat to step to.
There you go. You know it.
Oh man, yeah. Time's up. I'm sorry I kept you. And Mr. Cheeks. So I mean, you've worked with a number of artists. Do me a favor, because we talked about this a little earlier, and we've seen movies like The Five Heartbeats and heard stories of artists not getting their due, or were so early on in the game they didn't understand contracting and things of that nature. Let's talk about some of the stuff that we talked about earlier, like Houdini, and as well as Grandmaster G from the Sugar Hill Gang.
Yes. Well, Flash. So what started happening, and this happened a while back. I think I was online one day and somebody was trying to coin the frame hip hop, or trying to incorporate it. And it brought to my attention when I was managing Grandmaster Flash. I looked into it, and Flash didn't have his name incorporated. So I called my lawyer and I told Flash, you need to incorporate your name because you're doing too many shows overseas in 13, 14 countries all over. And anybody could take your name and you wouldn't be able to use it. So I was able to convince him to incorporate his name. But as you would see later on going forward, as certain people left the groups based on whatever this disagreement they had, somebody went and filed a name. This happened with Kool and the Gang, with JT Taylor and Kool and the Gang. It happened with Houdini and also with the Sugar Hill Gang. You know, I got in a lawsuit and got sued by Joey Robinson before he died because he was going out as Master G. And Master G had came to me basically when hip hop started turning around for the older hip hop. And he said, listen, man, I want to go back out on with the group. And I said, well, you know, Joey is going out as the Sugar Hill Gang and he's using your name. He says, yeah, but I talked to my lawyers and we could go out as Master G and Wonder Mike, formerly of. So I said, okay. I started booking them. And then before I knew it, I got a call from Joey asking me to stop booking them. And I ignored it because I spoke with G's lawyer. He said it was legit that they could use it. Next thing I know, I got subpoenaed to court. I got a lawsuit, you know, asking me to want to sue me for $500,000. And the subpoena itself was $25,000 just to answer it in the New York court. So I spoke with my lawyer. He told me you need to speak with Joey and try to work out a settlement. And I didn't want to do it, but I had to do it. Eventually, when they went to court, somehow down the line, Joey ended up getting the name Master G, and the Sugar Hill Gang couldn't go out as Master G. They had to go out as Rapper's Delight. But, you know, fortunately, when Joey passed, Leland did the right thing and gave them back their name. So now they were able to go out as Sugar Hill Gang. I tried to talk to Joey. I was like, listen, why don't you just manage the guys, let G do his thing. You can still get paid. You can still go out as Master G if you want to. Don't do that. But he didn't want to do it. So, you know, I'm sorry for him. Rest in peace. But, you know, it was a situation where, again, and the same thing's happening with Houdini. I think that D now has the name Houdini. So I think Jalil couldn't go out as Houdini. Him and X had to go out as X and Houdini and Jalil, formerly of. But it's a thing that we take for granted. You know, you got to get your business straight. You know, right. my old saying is I learned a long time from a guy named Londell McMillan about, you know, there's gangsters, but there's also paper gangsters.
Right.
Those are the ones you got to watch out for.
Right.
They're the ones, you know, they ain't got to fight and all that. They just got to write something before you know it, you done.
Right. I mean,
it's you do.
And as gangster as Suge was, he had Pac sign that piece of paper in jail, which absolved all of his rights.
Yeah.
So, folks, if you got nephews and nieces, or you a content creator, go ahead, trademark your name, trademark business, because you don't know if you're gonna blow or if they're gonna blow.
Right.
But if you do, it's yours.
Especially with AI now, you know.
Oh yeah, that's a whole new ball game now. Yeah, it's so different now.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, so Mark, you work with a lot of folks, and we're gonna go through some of these folks. We're gonna talk about it. He just passed away, known as one of the greatest NFL players to ever to do it. What was your relationship with Jim?
Well, you know, I worked with Jim twice, and this time, the first time I didn't meet him. This picture was the second time I worked with him. We met. I mean, Jim was cool. He was quiet. He talked a lot once he felt comfortable with you.
True.
Right.
But you know, I didn't have the type of relationship I have with some of the other actors I work with. Jim was, you know, I can't really say a lot about him other than, you know, the two times that we worked together.
Okay. I mean, so you the long lost member of the Temptations, bro?
Bro, that's you know, Dennis was one of my favorite guys that I worked with, man. We talked about all kind of stories. I love Dennis, man. I just recently worked with his wife and the other Temptations, the Temptations Review, but Dennis was one of my favorite.
Now he just.
I can't tell you all the story because I got a book coming out. So.
Oh yeah.
I'm expressing a lot of the stories in the book.
Okay, I mean, look, you ain't got to go deep in it. We ain't got. Look, we want you to talk. We want you to talk about whatever you can, and we'll let everybody know when the book comes out.
Yeah. What's the name? What's the name of the book, Mark?
The Show Must Go On.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Now, what's been funny? I mean, it's been all over the net. It ain't funny now. This is a cool picture, but he been having some problems keeping steady on stage. Even
you grabbed a bunch of my photos, huh?
Dog, I'm telling you. When you asked me, you said, "Look, you want me to send pictures?" I was like, "Dude, I've been on your Facebook page, bro. I've been on your page, player. You got it all."
The photo to the left with him with the New York hat on. We had.
Was it 1990?
1996. It was the tour. I was the tour manager for Drew Hill. It was Drew Hill, Genuine, Aaliyah, Mary J. Blige, and we had the Bone Thugs and Harmony was the headliner. Okay. And it was hosted by Pierre the Comedian and DJ Kid Capri.
Oh man, that was a hell of a show.
Yeah.
Yes. That was Drew Hill's first tour.
Wow. And I think they're celebrating 25 or 30 years
25 years we celebrating together.
Yeah. I saw them perform last year here in Atlanta.
And they are just as good today as they were back then.
One of my favorite groups.
If not better.
One of my favorite groups. Yeah. I had the opportunity to work with Cisco and Usher at the same time. Mm-hmm. I had just finished working with Usher my second time around as his tour manager. Mm-hmm. And then I got the call to do Drew Hill. And Cisco and Usher reminded me so much of each other because they had the same work habits, Cisco was constantly working out, Usher was constantly working out. They both were constantly just practicing their craft all the time, and that's why they are where they are.
Yeah. When I'm promoting them, whenever they're coming in town, when I'm on the air in Miami or Orlando, I just say to the other 90s group, you don't want to follow Drew Hill. No. Drew Hill's going to shut it down.
They're going to shut it down.
Yeah, yes. and they bring it each and every time. So I'm so proud of them too. Yep. Because I was in Baltimore doing radio, Mark, when they were just coming up before they even got their deal. Right. They were coming by the radio station and hanging out at the station before they got their deal. So I'm so happy and proud of them.
Wow. Yeah, I did my research. There you go. There you go. And have you seen him perform? Everybody's talking about the show in Vegas. They said he kills it in Vegas.
I know he did.
They say he kills it. So, always good. We always see Usher around here in the A. You've gone with dealt with hip hop legends from the past and present, and this guy right here,
50 Cent.
Pity.
Yeah, so I had the opportunity to work with him. Somebody from his camp contacted me. His mother, I guess his grandparents were celebrating their 50th year. We had a big party at his house. It was only his parents' friends. Okay. None of 50's friends was there. I probably was the only outsider that was at his house at the time. So I provided him Temptations with Dennis Edwards. We had Patti LaBelle and Benny King were the acts I booked for him. The first time I met him was at his house in Connecticut. Okay. With the one that he bought from Mike Tyson. Okay. This picture here was the second time I worked with him while managing Grandmaster Flash. He hired Flash to do the opening for his new series, Power.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's right.
When Power first came out, we did it.
Notori.
Now, I was Notori's first road manager too.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
She was in a group called 3LW.
3LW, that's right.
Yes.
That's right.
She was with 3LW?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
You ain't pull that picture up.
Man, I missed that one. Oh, man.
So funny because when I saw her, I showed her the picture when we first worked together because they were young, right? And they just looked at me as the tour manager, whatever. But the OG, I had so many acts at that time. I was in and out. I had 3 or 4 people working for me as road managers. I had Timberland, Missy Elliott, 3LW, Denise Williams.
Sheesh, man, you was busy, dog.
Yeah, I was busy during that time. Man. So I was like, I'd fly in just to make sure everything was going okay with the groups, and then I'd be out. So
while you were doing all of this, me and Eric were in radio, but we would run into you. Yeah. So where would we see you? At conferences? Is that where we would basically run into you? Yeah. Okay. Or if you bought the artist by the radio.
Bought by the radio, yeah.
Right.
Records too.
Yeah.
But for the longest, when I would see Mark, I would think VSU first before I would think industry.
Same thing with me, with you.
Yeah, I would think VSU first. And I think it was a while, I was like, oh, he's in the industry? That's right.
And I always looked at Eric as being on the radio in Richmond. Right. He was always my guy there.
Right.
And we would joke around, Mark, because how much talent came out of Virginia State in the industry. Of course, we had Damien from Guy, and Scoop and Dre Das Effects, and Mo, who's Sharon's daughter, the legacy of in the music industry, and having Lorenzo, you, myself, and having cats that really were a part of the culture of R&B and hip hop.
One person I want to mention, Eric, and I don't think we mentioned him at all, Carl Weber. The author, are y'all familiar with Carl? We got to give him his props too, because
he's doing a lot of television.
He's doing a lot of television right now, so we got to give Carl Weber his props. He's kind of quiet at state, you know what I mean? But real G's moving silence, right?
Wait, the crazy thing was Blair Underwood's father was my professor at college. He was Colonel Underwood, was in ROTC. And I remember when
I was in ROTC.
So I was it was time for me to sign the contract, and I told Colonel Underwood that I wasn't going to go in ROTC because I wanted to pursue my career in the music industry. And he started telling me about his son. He was like, yeah, I got a son, he wants to be an actor, this and that. And it never really dawned on me until later on in life when I realized that Blair was from Petersburg. That was his father, that was my professor.
Yeah. I don't remember.
And he used to do plays at the Playmakers Club.
Wow.
Right off of Sycamore. Remember that little spot there? He used to do theater right there. Blair Underwood.
There was another guy from Richmond that I met during my time touring. He gave me a demo of this record that I thought it was a hit. And I looked at it, and I went and helped them produce it. And then I ended up publishing it. And it became a #1 record called Remember the First Time by Eric Gable. The guy who wrote it was from Richmond. And I got a chance to publish. That was my first record I ever published.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I remember Eric Gable. I do remember that song.
Yeah.
You remember the first
time. That's early 90s, right?
Yep. 1990 exactly.
Yeah. We did party at the Playmakers for sure.
Yeah.
A small little spot. We'd crowd in there. We'd just be happy to be off campus.
Right. Another publishing thing I was able to do, I published the Grandmaster Flash story, which is his first book too. It took me 2 years to convince Flash to do that book. He didn't want to do it, but I got him to do it. And I tried to turn it into a movie. I talked to Ice Cube about it. He seemed interested, but it never developed from that point on. But I think he probably took the idea, and that's when he made that Compton story.
Straight up.
Because I told him, I was like, listen, I said, look, I've been managing Flash. We've been to 35 countries. I said, everywhere we go overseas, Flash is like Michael Jackson. I had never seen anything like it. We're playing outdoor festivals, and when you look outside, it's almost like Obama. When Obama was becoming president, you could see the crowd. You couldn't even see it was so far back. And that's how the shows was that Flash was doing overseas. We did Italy, Spain, France. I mean, we did a lot of Middle East, Turkey. And it was like, I couldn't believe how big hip hop was in all these countries. We would go to these countries, people couldn't even speak the English, but they would know all the lyrics to the rap songs that he would play. And it was just amazing to me to see that a DJ would headline over some of the major acts that was overseas.
Right.
Flash was headlining shows that I couldn't even believe he was headlining.
Now this is without the Furious 5, right?
This
Just
was at the
Grandmaster.
Furious 5. You know, and even I understand Flash's reason for not wanting to go back. He says, I make more money DJing. Why would I want to go back to a group and have to split less money than I make as a DJ?
Now Flash, was it the Chris Rock? What
Chris Rock. Yep. I was managing during that time.
He had that show and Flash was his DJ.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, we got somebody just popped in that we done talked about.
Yeah, we talked about him big time.
Yeah, man.
We've been talking about you, Crush. We've been talking about you.
DJ Daryl Crush. SGL Productions.
What up, Crush? Man.
I laugh because when I think about some of my regrets, I regret I wasn't able to convince Crush to stay in the game. I think between him and I, we had such a chemistry in producing and writing music. You know, we could have been the next Dr. Dre if we had to continue, because our production skills and our timing was just right on time, and we were getting a lot of accolades about the music that we were doing. You know, we not only did the song with Spice MC, but we did one with, you know, Fonda Ray. We did another one with Johnny Wah, who was signed to MCA, and we were just beginning.
Johnny Wah from State?
Yeah, Johnny Wah.
Johnny Wah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Joey's kind of screwed us on that.
Oh my God, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember him talking about his record.
Yeah,
I do remember that. Johnny Wah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, so we had, you know, we had opportunity. We could have been that guy, but Crush, you pulled out on me.
So I guess you wasn't hanging around State when we had the first rate MCs, when we were rapping at the Delta Star Search. I guess you wasn't there when we was competing against Damon and Aaron Hall.
Yeah, he was gone by then. He was gone by then.
Yeah, I was gone by then. I was rolling with the stars by then.
Yeah, he was with the big stars.
Yeah, that's right. If I look at the timeline, man, we were competing with Aaron on stage. We came in a Delta Star Search. We came in second, and Aaron and Damien came in first. And this was before Damien joined God.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Then after
you guess who was hosting the Delta Star Search? Yeah, I was.
Wow.
So yeah, we were talking to, oh my God, I can't remember his name. I think it was Bill. He played the saxophone on all the Sugar Hill.
Yeah, he's from Richmond.
Yeah, from Richmond. Oh, what's his name? Eric?
Bill McGee.
Who?
Bill McGee.
Yeah, Bill McGee.
Yeah, that's it, Bill McGee.
Yeah, Bill McGee. Yeah, we were talking to Bill about getting the deal, and you know, we just kind of lost.
He just dropped an album. He said,
"Yeah, we, you know, it's just like maybe we weren't serious about it at the time, but we were Houdini. You know what I mean? Yeah, that was our stilo. Right. Yeah, I think Crush got into some trouble. Not DJ Crush, MC Crush.
Gotcha.
Some trouble at that time. Throwing ashes through cars and stuff like that on campus.
Look, you are tuned in to Shooting the Breeze Conversation with the DJ, where Lorenzo and I get a chance to chop it up with people in the music industry and the entertainment industry every Thursday night. And we've got our boy from Virginia State University, super, super nice dude, super deep in the deep in. Oh yeah. He's a man of Omega Sci-Fi. We can't forget that. Matter of fact, we gonna highlight that because I cracked up laughing as I was going through some of your pictures.
Oh my goodness.
Oh yeah, I went through some of your pictures, man. And
yes, John, it is me. Yes, John, it is me. Thank you for the love.
Yeah. Shout out. Matter of fact, let's shout out these folks. John Kilby. Yeah, that's Ice-T. Shout out to my man Nard. Who says, wow, haven't seen Mark since the Trojan Roundup days. Yeah. Nard's in the house. Speaking of the Q's, the New Side Brothers, I was hanging out with Creighton a couple of weeks ago. Hey, man, you got to come down here for that Seersuckers and Sundress.
I heard.
You putting on. I got a chance to hang out with Creighton that Friday night. Shout out to my man Byron in there. June was my roommate in college. Wow. Along with going another year. Yeah, so we see you with your bros. We got to give State their props, no doubt, doubt.
Yes.
You know, so that's always good. Okay, yeah. There we go. They're all repping again. There we go. So let's get back to the music industry.
Yep. Hey, let me chime in here for a second because he was talking about Grandmaster Flash. Do you know if
the whole vibe?
What Flash thought about the Netflix series The Beatdown? Did you have a chance to see that, Mark?
Well, I was the one who negotiated the deal. It's called the Get Down. It's called the Get Down.
The Get Down. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Get it right.
No, it was funny.
Hey, I'm trying to remember.
I got this. I would get a lot of calls for Flash to do documentaries, to do, videos or whatever. But this guy called me, and he was talking about doing a movie, and I was like, yeah, whatever. I didn't know who he was. His name was Boz Luhrmann. When I looked him up and realized he was a big-time Hollywood producer, I called him back right away.
Right.
So we talked to Boz. We went down. He gave me his pitch for what the movie was going to be about. I thought it was going to be about Flash, but it was about an era. The era was 1976 when disco was moving out, and this thing it was forming underneath underground was called hip hop. Mm-hmm. So the whole movie was based on the era of when hip hop started, how it got started, who started it, and where it started. And that's what the movie was about. I learned a lot because later on or before that, I had negotiated some other movie deals and video deals and all kinds of deals, but I never really negotiated a big Hollywood deal like this. And when I realized how much money he really was getting for this movie, the producer, Boz, I went back and decided to okay, I need to get some more money. So what I did was every time he asked for Flash to go out to do something, I charged him $10,000.
Okay.
I don't care if it was a promo. I don't care if you said to me, well, we're just going to meet to these people here. And I got the, NBC coming and we just want Flash to just demonstrate $10,000. I want Flash to come over here and meet these guys. And if he could just talk to them about $10,000. So I got well over 100,000 when I was done with him to kind of offset what I should have gotten, so to speak. Right. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, the problem, the thing with that movie, I think that people were looking at it as being the story of Flash and hip hop, but it was just the story of an era.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, true.
There were things I thought that could have been done better. I thought the beginning was
I think it could have been cast better.
Yeah.
I think the cast, the guys that they selected. Yeah, a lot of unknowns, but come on, a lot of these guys that were in groups, these were hardcore guys that were in these groups, and they casted guys that didn't look hardcore, didn't look New York. And so therefore it was a little hard. I enjoyed the story, but it wasn't believable. Like Jaden Smith, come on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I can't remember what role he played, but it wasn't believable because in New York, the guys that went on stage, I remember Cold Crush, you ain't want to mess with those dudes.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The guys in the movie didn't look like the guys who came up in the Bronx.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And that was the problem right then and there. So, okay.
All right. Well, let's talk about some of the classics I got a chance to pick out. Okay. You got Lynn Whitfield and Regina Bell.
Oh my goodness. Lynn Whitfield and I, she is one of my favorites. We have worked together many, many times. We've been to Bahamas, Barbados, Cayman Islands. I mean, we've been all over the place, and she is a doll to work with. I can't even tell you how much I enjoy working with her. And she's a friend, which makes it even better.
Absolutely.
And AKA, for those of you who don't know, she's an
AKA.
Yeah, you keeping this story kind of short. That the rest of it's for the book.
Yeah, the rest of it's for the book.
Hey. Was Rick around when you were putting your arm around his woman?
So what you guys don't know about Tina.
I didn't say what you don't know about Tina.
Tina and I were very close. Matter of fact, I got a record deal through Warner Brothers, and Tina was signed to my label.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, Mark.
I made a mistake of announcing it in Sister to Sister, and
Jamie talked it up.
Well, what happened was I think somebody from Cash Money saw it and they approached her and offered her a lot more money.
She did run with
the same album that she had on Cash Money is the same one I had. The only thing I didn't have was the single that Cash Money had.
Wild Horses.
To be honest with you, that album didn't really have any singles on it, and I did it because of the love of and my relationship with Tina.
I remember that album. She had Wild Horses on that, didn't she?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that album really, it didn't have no real hits, but what I was trying to do with my deal was I was trying to get people who basically toured a lot,
right,
who had a big fan base. So I convinced the record label to give me like $100,000 per artist.
Okay.
And basically, I was just looking for them to sell 50,000 units to 100. If they sold 100,000 units, the record label made $1 million.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I just needed something to get started. So I had a 4-album deal. The people that were signed to me was Tina Marie. I had JT Taylor from Kool and the Gang.
Okay.
I had the OJs. I had who else I had that I was going to put out on that label. I can't think of who the other person was. But after the deal went down with Tina, when I lost her, then the rest of the deal fell apart because I actually got the deal by working with Chris Webber, the basketball player.
Yeah. Okay.
Chris was signed to the label, and I kind of brought that idea to Chris, but it didn't.
Chris was a rapper?
Yeah, Chris was a rapper.
I know Shaq was a rapper. Shaq
Chris had a rap album out that never came out.
But it went certified lead.
Yeah, I still got the copy of the album, you know.
Oh, I see him out here because he live in Fayetteville down here. I see him at the drugstore every blue moon.
Hey, Mark, what's the name of the Teen Marie album you're referring to? You know? You remember?
It's the one that Cash Money had out. It's the last one.
Yeah, I remember.
What was the name of it?
I don't remember the name of the album, but I remember the single was Wild Horses, which was no,
that wasn't the name of the single. The single was you're gonna make me go on the internet and stuff.
And I got a picture of you with the classics, the OJs.
Uh-huh.
They're on their. I heard they're on their last tour. They're gonna do their last.
That's true. So me and Eddie go back like rocking chairs.
Right.
I started with Eddie when I was the tour manager for Freddie Jackson, and Levert was the opening act.
Right.
And that's when I bonded with Eddie. So right after I left the touring business, I went to become an agent at ABC, and OJs was signed to ABC. So we became even closer then. And then when I left ABC and went to EMI signed to OJs. So by now, Eddie and I was like running like Tom, Dick, and Harry. You know, we were always together.
Right.
We bonded a great friendship. And then when his road manager passed, Joe, he hired me to be the new tour manager of the OJs. But unfortunately, the week that I was supposed to start, my mother passed, and I never went back on the road with them. But we go back a long ways.
Okay. Yeah, you out with the greats. Now, I mean,
Tina was one of my favorites, not only as a person, but as a performer.
Oh, yeah.
And if you ever seen the Tina Marie show, oh my goodness.
Dude, let me tell you, it was crazy because I still got the tickets. Her last concert, or the concert before she passed away, she was supposed to be with Frankie Beverly in Atlanta at the Fox. It was her and Frankie Beverly. It was New Year's Eve show. And I wanted, because we actually had her at a concert maybe 2 years ago with the station. Because when she sings Deja Vu, shuts the whole place down every time. And I remember, because I still got the ticket stubs, because we were going to see Tina Marie and Frankie Beverly and Mays. And they put Stephanie Mills on the show when she passed.
Wow.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I mean, you ran with some greats, and I make jokes about Rick around and knocking you down. But I mean, if you got too close to this one, I mean, hit you with the back of that guitar, Miss Sheila E.
And Sheila E. reminded me a lot of Tina because they both were multi-talented. They both played multiple instruments, and they were just multiple talented.
Right.
You know, I enjoy a lot working with Sheila E. But you know, in my book, I talk a little bit more about my relationship with Tina Marie and things that happened during that time. You know.
Yeah, man. I mean, you work with everybody. Let's dispel the rumor. I gotta get him on the show. Did George Harrell actually smack that dude at the Superfest?
I had no idea.
Okay.
George Harrell?
George Harrell, yeah.
No, I
heard he was rumored he smacked a music exec at a Budweiser Superfest in New Orleans.
No, I don't believe that.
Okay.
So let me tell you, with George Harrell and I,
that's my dude, though.
I trained George. I brought George in as a road manager. I was the road manager for Al B. Shore.
Right.
And Andre had gave me that job. He wanted me to do Heavy D and the Boys. After Al B. Shore, I wanted to get into the record business. So I decided not to go and take the deal with Heavy D and the Boys. And I decided to leave. So Andre asked me to train George Harrell to become the new road manager for Al. And that's kind of how we bonded from that point on.
Okay. And you got Kenny Lattimore in the man, he's still putting out good music.
Yes, he is.
Another good friend of mine, too, Kenny. I worked with Kenny many times. Matter of fact, we just saw each other a couple of weeks ago at the Capitol Jazz Festival.
I saw people posting. Matter of fact, I saw Bo posting Kenny Lattimore.
What does Bo do?
Another good friend, Bo.
Yeah, Bo Sampson.
Bo
Sampson.
Oh, and my man, Avant.
Yes.
My brother put some good music out too.
I worked with Vaughn many times too, but I really didn't develop any relationship with him.
Okay. Another one of your frat brothers here.
Oh yeah, Anthony. So Anthony, the funny story with Anthony, I met Anthony long time when he first came out as a comedian, and I booked him in Iowa. And from that point on, we had stayed in contact, and he would always forget me, but as soon as I tell him Iowa, then he would always remember.
So he was doing stand-up first?
Yeah, he was doing stand-up long before he became famous.
Okay.
And the funny thing was, my running joke with Anthony was that I had an event for him that I was going to honor him at the Black Expo. And he was just starting to come up and become real popular. I said, I got 15,000 for you. He said, man, that ain't nothing but gas money for me, man. Said, damn. 15,000 was a lot of money back then.
Yeah.
He came up, he hollered at me when he went over. So he's like, hey, Mark, how do you throw these hoops up, man? I look like what's his name saying? Dynamite.
JJ.
You got it, bro. You got it. You in.
Vita hit us with a real cool question. We're going to put it up. Who haven't you worked with that you wish you had, bro?
Well, I had the opportunity to work for Prince. That was one of the people I always dreamed of, but man, that was an opportunity. And Eddie Murphy, I worked with him, and
Michael Jackson.
I didn't work with Michael.
Okay.
Yeah.
Janet.
I've been blessed to work with so many people that I admire. And recently I started working with a lot of actors. And as you guys may know, Pam Grier is one of the people.
Oh, yeah.
We got that new movie coming out, right?
I work with Pam. We've been working together for more than 10 years. And
something with her and Damien Williams doing something, right?
Yes, I was with Pam. I was her date for the premiere, and we had a ball. We were just together probably 2 weeks before that, where she was being honored in Wilmington, North Carolina, where she's from. She's from North Carolina.
Okay, so wait a minute, Eric. Closed mouths don't get fed. So are you looking for any new actors?
Well, I was shocked when I saw Eric. Boy, you got skills, bro. You got real skills.
Hey, man, look.
You need to put that out there. People don't know that you can act, bro.
Yeah. I just wrapped the movie called Miami Confidential last weekend.
What?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Damn, I got both of y'all now. I got to be all agents and shit. Y'all get a little bit bigger.
Let's talk. Let's get it written down in paper. We need some representation up in New York, New Jersey, I should say.
Yeah, it's
we can do a self-tape anytime.
Yeah, definitely.
It's been a good run, man. I finished a movie last weekend before last with Brad James, Erica. It's Erica's last name, Erica Hubbard. I think that's her last name. Rodney Perry. It was cool, and just got booked for a Blue Cross Blue Shield commercial.
What?
Yeah, I got to shoot that in a couple of weeks. So, man, it's been good. So, I appreciate every acting moment. It was crazy because
I think we need to have you on the show to talk about your acting.
Hey man, actually, you know what was crazy? Lorenzo, we were on the Tom Joyner cruise.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Tyler Perry was there.
Yep.
And he was doing auditions. And it was 300 and some odd folks auditioned for him. He picked 10. I was one of them.
What?
Yeah.
Get out of here.
That was the first show I did.
Yep.
That was the first show I did. It was If Loving You Is Wrong. I played the gangster to the crooked cop. Eddie. Yeah. So since then, man, it was Queen.
And I just missed the cut. I was like about number 11 or 12.
He missed the cut.
I just missed the cut. But Tyler told me when remember we took that picture, E?
Yeah.
That's when he stood over, because we in the back. So we standing in the line. He looked over at me, he leaned over, he said, "Yo, don't give up on your dreams, man. You got something there. You just didn't make this one." But he said, keep working. So it's but you gotta, the thing is that this, Eric and Mark, you gotta keep working that muscle. You know what I mean? The more you audition, the more you practice, the better you're gonna get. So
Crush was like, "That was you?"
That was me, Crush. Yeah, that was E. Tell him about the staircase, E.
It's on HBO now, HBO Max. I'm in 3 out of the 8 episodes. I play a judge. It's based on a true story, and what's crazy about it was there were actually 3 Academy Award winners, 3 people that had Oscars on the set. I had no idea who they were, and everybody that's that watches TV or rom-coms and things like that, hey, look, if it don't blow up, I ain't seen it.
Right.
So it was Colin Firth. Right. And everybody knew who this guy was, and I had no idea who he was. I never really watched the Game of Thrones, but the Queen in the Game of Thrones, she was in it. Tonette Collette. The only one I knew that I really knew in it was Parker Posey, because she was in Scream. Of course, I've seen Scream. So I was enamored with her. I could care less about all the Oscar winners there. I was like, I remember you in Scream. So no, it's been a good run, but I do that on the side. But this ain't about me. This is about you, player. So we
hold on. I gotta give another shout out, because I would be remiss if I did not give a shout, because we shouting out people from Virginia State, right? That's what it's about. Okay, so there is one name that I have not mentioned who is killing it in the acting game as well, and his name is Christopher Mann. Yeah. You remember Chris?
My God.
I'm feeling bad because I didn't mention him earlier. But Chris, I mean, he was in Creed. He was in The Wire. He was in Loving. And he's on a show that's on Peacock right now called The Calling. He's got about 3 or 4 episodes where he appears in there. So we got to shout out Christopher Mann, because we're talking about all the talent that has come out of Virginia State during our era, and that's another one that's doing it. So
that's crazy, because I would be in the movie sometime, and all of a sudden I see Chris's picture. I'm like, I know that guy. You went to state.
Yeah.
I got to take my hat off to anybody that's acting. I had an opportunity. I was in the movie Malcolm X.
Malcolm X. I was gonna pull a picture.
pull it up, E.
I was in Malcolm X.
And he drew an arrow so you can see him. he go.
Was he a principal extra?
Well, I was an extra. So here's what happened. Orange Juice Jones was in the movie too, and because he knew me, there was a scene it ended up becoming an opening scene.
Right.
And they had me walking down in front of the Apollo, me and another girl. And Orange Juice stopped me to try to sell me a watch. And we were having dialogue, but I got mush mouth. I saw that camera, and all I thought about was the million of people that would be seeing me, and I could not speak. So after the second take, they just said, forget it, and went on. But again, I take my hat off to anybody that's an actor. Shit, sitting there waiting for the scene for damn near 8-10 hours. I couldn't do that either.
Yeah, I've done 50
drag.
Hey, John, thanks for the love, man, from the Sprite commercials, the AT&T commercials, BET. Thank you for the acknowledgement, John. I appreciate it.
Now you also, man, you was with Fiddler.
Yes, Lou Gossett. And you know who that lady is, right?
No.
You don't know who she is?
She's familiar.
She was in a famous movie called Superfly. That's Sheila Frazier. She played Priestess Girl.
Oh, okay.
Remember the bathroom scene and everything?
There was a picture. Did you have?
Oh, yeah. I remember that scene.
That was Sheila Frazier. She was from Inglewood, New Jersey.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that scene.
And you got Fiddler. And I saw a picture of, and I couldn't find it when I went looking for it again. Ben Vereen.
Ben Vereen, yeah. I met Ben Vereen a few times in New York, but I happened to be at an event that my cousin, she's an actress, she took me to, and it happened to be Glenn Thurman, who was actually the first actor I ever booked for an event. So It was kind of a bittersweet reconnection with Ben, with Glenn, I should say, because I hadn't seen him since and you know, of course, he didn't remember me, but he remembered the show that I booked. So
the fact that you had pictures with Chicken George and and Fiddler, that's going on a lot of people's heads right now. No, if you don't,
I like Lou. Lou is another guy that likes to talk, and he's very friendly and outgoing. So you know him and Pam Grier is one of my favorite. I've heard every Richard Pryor story and many more. But she is somebody I adore a lot too.
Now, so you got O-Dog or Councilman?
That's another one of my good people.
It's like is this the councilman from Power?
Yes. Well, him and his brother right there. His brother and I formed a real close relationship. We've been on vacation together. We've been around the block. So, Renz is also a good client and a good friend too.
That's what's up.
I know the whole family.
All right. Now we're gonna have some fun.
You got a lot of my photos. Oh my goodness.
No. We about to really have some fun.
I like that. I'm already having fun.
Hold on. No. We're gonna do it right now. For the folks just checking us out, this is Shooting the Breeze Conversation with DJ. Feel free to hit us up in the comment section. We will shout you out. I guess you can see that. We will shout you out.
Mm-hmm. Share, and more share.
and more share. Okay. All right. Okay. The boss. Yes. Diana Ross.
That was a great photo of us together. We look like a couple.
I think that's the biggest smile I've seen on you from all the pictures, Mark. You are cheesing there.
Wow.
Oh yeah. So how was it with hanging out with the boss?
Well, you know, I gotta say some stories for the book.
Okay.
I talk about her, Etta James.
Etta James.
Etta James. There's a whole bunch of people I talk about that I work with, incidents, situations. I think when people read it, they're gonna really enjoy the stories and the order of how everything went and just all the different things that's happened during that time.
Do you remember the Central Park performance when it rained, when Diana Ross was performing?
Yes, of course.
You remember that?
Yes.
What are your most vivid memories about that?
I can't remember what happened yesterday.
And you're going to write a book?
Well, the book is already written. So
okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. Again, you know, without these photos, a lot of this stuff is kind of faded away, you know. Mm-hmm. This particular photo here, I had I was determined to meet Chris Tucker right there, and we were in Indiana, and he was big at the time. So I made my way backstage, and I told him I was running a theater in New Jersey, and talked to him about coming there. And Dave Chappelle showed up, so we took that photo. Chris and I exchanged numbers, and the next thing I know, Chris called me. He said, "Listen, man, I'm coming to New York, man, and I want to do that venue you were telling me about." I said, "Okay." And he said, "Well, I want to rent it out, but I don't want to advertise it." So I said, "Whatever. If you want to rent it out, no problem." So he rented the venue out for 2 days.
Right.
The first day, I was like, "Chris," I said, "we only sold like 500 seats, and it was a 1,300 seat theater at Bergen Pack." And I said, you know, you got to really advertise and let people know, because he didn't want me to advertise. He just wanted me to put it on the site, and that was it. Well, as soon as he went online, I mean, he was doing a TV show and he mentioned it. The thing sold out. So both of the shows sold out. He ended up making the bulk of the money because he rented the theater. We borrowed a friendship at the time. But I haven't seen him since. You know, it's been a long time. But that was a great opportunity. You know, a lot of times it's all about being in the right place in the right time, as you know.
And he networks, because I just saw an interview with him and they were asking him, who does he not know? Right. And they were just throwing names at him. And he's like, oh, yeah, that's my friend. Oh, that's my boy. So I could just see by the conversation how he's been able to maintain all these relationships because he's always networking. You know?
Got a question for you. Some of the things that we find when Lorenzo and I do this on a weekly basis is that there's stories that people have no idea that actually happened in the back end. For instance, we're talking to Parrish Johnson. He said, you know, the Lauryn Hill album almost didn't happen. And then talking to AJ, he was like, you know, Alicia Keys almost didn't happen. And Clive had to make the call into Oprah Winfrey to continue to move it forward. And talking to a couple of cats, and they were just saying all of these records that were, or albums or artists that we revere almost didn't happen. Is there something in your past when you were on the record side that you was like, folks will never know this almost didn't happen? Or what was some of the craziest things that you've seen in the industry that you can talk about?
Well, one of the things that didn't happen, almost didn't happen, I was working for Prince, and it was 1998. And of course, 1999 was about to approach, and he wanted to, you know, remake the record because the year 2000 was about to hit. And if you remember the record, 1999, it was talking about how the world was going to end in 2000. Yeah. So, you know, one of the issues I had when I was working with him was that we couldn't do anything unless he okayed it.
Right.
So I was in charge I put the distribution together for him. And the only way that you could get a Prince record was through me. So
now was he Prince, or was he the artist formerly known at that time?
He's the artist formerly known as, because at that time I didn't know what to call him. I just called him Sir. I was working with Larry Graham, and you know, I said, Larry, what do you call him? He says, I call him baby brother. I said, well, I can't call him that. And I said, well, I'll just call him Sir. But you know, he wanted to do this record, and the problem was when he finally finished the record, he decided to put, you know, to remake it so that the money wouldn't come through Warner Brothers. He just remade the whole 1990. But by the time he gave me the record, it was February 2000. Mm-hmm. By then, the record had no meaning.
Right.
You know, the build-up for 1999 to turn into 2000 was leading all the way up to December. We should have had the record out way before January. But the record came out in February and it just fizzled out. You know, the problem with that was that he waited too late to drop that record.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in the words, you know, of a prophet, Prince, you know, sometimes you need to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, know when to walk away.
Yeah.
Know when to run.
So you rocking with Kenny Rogers too, huh?
Yeah, Kenny was a great guy. I'm sorry that he passed away, but he was a great guy. You know, what I found out, most of the older guys that's been in the business, they just realize people are people. They don't treat you any different. I'll never forget, I was working with Don Rickles, one of my favorite. And, you know, when I was running the theater in Jersey, one of the things I would do is I would, you know, after I meet the person at the door and take them to their dressing room, I would go back to pay them. So I went to go pay Don Rickles, and his manager said, oh, Mark, you know, he's busy right now. I come back. I said, okay. So I was walking down the stairs and I heard Don say, hey, I want to meet the guy who brought me here, Mark Green. I want to meet him. So the manager said, Mark, come on up. So I come back up. I sit in the room for about 15, 20 minutes talking to Don, laughing my ass off, having a good time. We take a photo and we go down. So Don gets on stage and he starts talking about the show. And the first thing he says, you know, I met the guy who brought me here, Mark Green. If I knew he was black, I wouldn't have come.
Oh, Don was funny.
Don was funny. We went out to dinner after that, and we had a ball. He ranked on the Latinos that were serving the food. We had such a great time. And again, it's these older guys. They just, they've been in the business so long. It's not about ego to them. It's just about people.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one thing I loved about Dennis. I talked to Dennis. I asked him many stories about the Temptations, because I was, my fantasy was just like coming up in that era of the 70s and all the great people that I used to listen to. And Dennis was always my favorite Temptation. When I was a kid, just trying to sing like Dennis and dance like Dennis. So for me to work with him was just an honor.
Even more so than David Ruffin?
Yeah. I mean, Dennis was my guy.
Okay.
I mean, I love David Ruffin, but Dennis, there was something about Dennis that I was attracted to.
Mm. I mean, he was the perfect replacement. The perfect replacement.
The great thing about that was I became Dennis's agent in 1986 when he went solo. You remember when he went solo?
Yeah.
He had some issues, but later on we hooked up again, and when he got back with the Temptations, we bond our friendship again.
Yeah.
Now, when he was doing the video for "Don't Look Any Further," was he under the influence? You get all the details in the book.
Hey,
because that's what the streets are saying.
So if the black guy with a book, he would have never showed up, huh?
Yeah, man. Don Rickles.
Oh, Jay Lang popped in.
What up, Jay?
What up, Jay Lang? Hardy, Jay Lang. He said,
"Damn, Jay, you missed the party, man. We talked all about you."
Yeah, man. I need to get some of that Popeye's chicken voiceover money, man.
Yeah, man. Don't you owe me a check, Jay?
Absolutely. Hey, so
I have no idea who that girl is. I've been trying to find out.
She was about to ask you. She was an artist on RCA.
RCA. Right? She was on RCA.
She was on RCA.
Remember her.
I can't think of her name, but
I was with Najee at EMI. We took that picture.
Hey, Jay, who's this girl in the middle, man? I know you know.
Hey, who is this? Let me tell you what they did. One of her promotional album, she was had one leg up and the skirt blowing, but they had to go back and airbrush it because it exposed too much of it. And Aaron kept it in his office and would never let me put it in my office. I remember that because Leroy was working.
That was Vita Nash's girl. Yeah, Vita Nash was working that project. I got to contact her and find out who that girl is because I asked Najee. He didn't know either.
Oh, God. I thought you were. I was like, gosh, when I saw the picture of her, I was
Jerry
like,
Carter, come on, help us out, Jerry. You still on here, Jerry?
She had a hit. I mean, she really had a hit.
I remember her face, though.
She had a real hit. So I can't think of her name. Look, and Jay said, I can't remember either. I got to find. I bet you Aaron got that damn picture somewhere. I mean, that thing was always from the floor. Because, back in the day, all of the promotional stuff that they would send us. So, and now
it would go on our walls for sure.
It would go on the wall. And let's talk about it a little bit. We're talking hip hop 50, nice and smooth.
Nice and smooth.
Look at that Fever T-shirt.
That's the legendary
in my life. Oh man, I need that.
Speaking of a legend that they say is actually he is going on his very last concert tour this year, and I'm gonna make sure I see it because my boys from VA, we down with George like 4 flat tires, the king of funk. Did y'all make him a Q?
Yes, we did.
Finally, okay, all right, because whenever the Atomic Dog, we know the stomp is about to be set off. Y'all about to set off a lot.
Well, so the funny thing with George is him and Ben Crump are good friends now.
Okay.
So Ben lets him use his private plane when he has to go places.
All right.
Both of them live in Tampa.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Oh, George. So for anybody trying to get into the business right now, what type of Or do you have any advice for cats that are trying to get into the business?
You know, the funny thing is I've had many interns. I've had people work for me. The real key to this, if you don't have passion for this business, it's not going to work. Right. You got to be passionate about and wanting to do. You know, I try to teach people and tell people, you know, even people that I see have a little bit of interest, I try to give them the guideline, but especially the young kids, they have no idea, no clue, and they're not interested in following directions or taking leads from veterans or people that know.
Or they know more than we do, huh?
That's right. They know more than we do, and it's a shame because, you know, I'd look for that. When I got into business, I'd look for the people that were in the business, and I looked around and was like, well, what happened to this guy? Why is this guy still in the business? How come this guy is doing this? And I was able to observe, and what I did was I always reinvented myself. Anything that had to do with the industry, I learned it. Every year I would go out, I learned a different trade, I learned something to help, you know, uplift or help motivate or help even establish a better situation for myself. I went to pay my way through venue management school. I paid my way to get this certificate in the business and that certificate in the business because I'm passionate about what I do.
Right.
So all I can say, if you're passionate, you're going to do everything it is to succeed in this business.
Now, as a part of your agency, I take it these gentlemen, ladies, don't be asking Mark's information for this, you know, but we're gonna put it out there. But you got Tay Diggs, Kenny Lattimore, Shamar Moore, all in party. They part of your agency too, man. You booking?
Yeah. We all work together. Everybody there's one of my clients.
Oh, here come the ladies. Yeah. Oh man, so that's what's up. That's what's up. So, is there anything that you regret about the business, man?
There's a few things, you know, I regret about a couple of opportunities that passed my way that I didn't take advantage of. One of them was, I was so loyal to EMI, and I remember when Doug Daniels offered me a job at Arista, I didn't take it, and I ended up staying in that company, EMI. We didn't really have any artists and no really hits, you know.
Right.
I mean, that was a missed opportunity. There was quite a few, but, you know, you learn from your experience, you learn from your mistakes, and you just keep it moving. You know, you can't look back on what would have happened. You just take what you missed and learn from it.
That's what's up. Now, for folks that, are wanting to get into business, you say it's got to be passion. At the same time, how much time when does it get to the point where you look at the business and say, is this really working for me? Or is it really not working for me?
I mean, for me, again, I've been blessed to be able to still do what I've been doing. I mean, this has always been my dream from the time I was 11 or 12 years old. I never thought about doing anything else. There was a downtime in my period of my life when I got let go at EMI and didn't have a job. There was another time when I was out of work for 3 years, and even though I still had my company, I couldn't afford to work at my own company because the money I was bringing in, I'm doing sales. I don't know how much I was going to make sales. Right. So I took the advantage of Obama's unemployment, which was for 2 years. Mm-hmm. And it gave me an opportunity to really dig deep into my life and the things I've done and how I can move forward. So again, it's all about just reinventing yourself. If it's something you want to do, don't give up, just reinvent yourself. Sometimes you got to sacrifice. Right. I mean, I talk about a lot of sacrifices in my book, shit that I talk about that, you'd be like, damn, you did that. And I was like, yeah, bro, I didn't want to lose my house. I had to do what I got to do.
Right. It's funny because Lorenzo and I, we joke about when we were doing AM radio in the beginning, we wanted to be, we wanted to be in radio. And on Friday on payday, first one get to the bank, one get their check cashed. Because if you're the fourth one, it might not work.
Right. And Mark, I was the boss.
He was the boss.
I was the boss.
You better go now.
I hired Eric. I'd be like, yo, Eric.
You better go now.
Yo, let's go to the bank.
You better go now.
It's real talk. I said, yo, let's get there as soon as possible. Make sure we get that check.
Well, Lorenzo, and Eric, this game is a young man's game. It's like, it's like musical chairs. Once you lose your chair, chances are you may not get back in, but you got to find another way to get in.
Right.
I know, you've been very popular on the radio. You've been in Miami, you've been in New York, and as you know, sometimes it doesn't matter how good you think you are, how good other people think you are. When that person, your boss, decides he wants to let you go, it don't matter.
Right.
You're out of there. So you cannot. One thing I used to do is I used to be so angry and focus on getting back, and I gotta get revenge. But you gotta let that shit go, because at the end of the day,
I've been there, dog. Trust me. I've been there.
I've been there because we have all the people. Look at the people. I still got that picture of you with Obama. I was like, damn, he was with Obama.
That's right there. Right there.
That's better than all my photos. And we think about, you look at all the people you work with, Lorenzo and Eric, and all the people you come across, you be like, and one day you lose your job and you're like, but look at me, I'm the man. I've been with this person, I know this person. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, when they want to get rid of you, it's nothing you can do. All you can do is continue working on your craft and finding the next way in. It may be at a smaller entry level. You might have to take a cut back. You may not start as the anchor person for that radio station. You might have to do overnights, but whatever it is, you get in as you fit in. You work your way up.
Yeah. And I've been there. I was out for a few years myself. As everyone knows. And now I'm on 2 stations. Well, I don't want to say that, but I'm on in Orlando and I'm on in Miami as well.
Right.
So there's a blessing, and then it gives me the flexibility to do the acting now. So it is a blessing. So you just got to recognize it, keep your head down, and if it's something that you're passionate about and you really want to do it, it's never too late. It's never too late.
Never too late.
Yep, never too late. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna share one more picture. I was gonna save it for last.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate those words. Thank you, man.
Yes.
I'm a little jelly. You talked about it already. Man, every black man's dream in the 70s.
Pam Grier.
Oh, it happens. Oh.
Well, the funny thing is, I got a call and somebody was like, can you give me Pam Grier? And the first thing I thought about was Kevin Evans. Now, some of you know Kevin Evans from the record business. He
was in A&M. He married me.
So I called Kevin. He gave me Pam's number. I got on the phone with Pam. I think we talked for a couple of hours. And from that point on, we just bonded. And it's been a blessing. I can't thank Pam enough. We just recently did this premiere, and she brought me in there and she introduced me to all the movie people, all the people that were with her. She says, this guy right here, you guys need to know him. You need to work with him. He's this, he's that. He can do this for you. She just co-signed me and gave me such an uplift and such favor for what I do that I really was like, wow, And Pam texts me, like I get texts and calls from her all the time. We text, sometimes I may get 2 or 3 texts in a day from her.
Right.
But,
have you gone out to the farm yet?
No, I've been offered, but she moved from Denver to New Mexico now. She just moved.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
We talked about, Pam is so smart and intelligent. She knows everything about everything. And this woman, I mean, she is just unbelievable. I can't say enough about her. She's just incredible to work with. She has stories. She has history. She's got knowledge of this business. I got up the first time we were to hook up. She asked me to be her date at the roast for Quentin Tarantino. So I went to the roast, but she didn't show up. And I was like, damn. So while I was there, I met Samuel Jackson. I met Rosario Dotson and her and I took a photo and we talked, and I was like, yeah, I'm Pam's date. So that kind of opened the door for me with everybody. But again,
like, who are you again?
Yeah. And her, I'd say, you know, her, Derek Luke, who's another guy I've been working with a lot, Lynn Whitfield, and Lorenz Tate. Those are like my favorites because we bond not only a working relationship, but a friendship.
And all those people that you just mentioned have been working.
Yes, Derek Luke. I didn't know who he was when I met him.
Yeah.
And we talked. And I think I made Derek a lot of money over the last couple of years. And our friendship has gotten stronger. Derek and I, we've been to Barbados, Cayman Islands. Where else? We've been all over the place, him and I. So recently I just had him speak at the college at Lehman College. He spoke to the students. I mean, there's so many places we've been together, but you know, when you find somebody who's genuine and just not just about the ego, well, you know, I'm a movie star or I'm this big hip hop artist, and they real people, you just enjoy being with them.
So is this the roast right here we're saying?
Yeah, that was at the roast. Yeah.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Hey, man.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Oh, man.
Did you have a chance to talk to Terrence at all?
No, Terrence is a little standoffish, so
yes, that's why I asked.
Standoffish. Okay, hey, man. Hey, look, man.
Yeah, I've interviewed him on 2 different occasions, and he's different.
Yeah,
he's different.
Yeah.
It depends on what his agenda is at that particular time.
Right.
If that's on his agenda, he will talk about it, and he will talk about it with passion. But if it's something he don't want to talk about, you know, he's someplace else. He don't want to be there.
Well,
yeah, that's how he was with me.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, we're not gonna hold you for the rest of the night because
we didn't mention Will Barnes, dog. Will Barnes. I mean, we talked about Will before, but we were shouting out actors. Will.
My bad, Will. Because he was Will out last week a whole lot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh man, Will, hey, and he here.
That's why I shouted him out.
Hey, Will, our bad.
Yeah.
Will always there, Mr. Ozempic.
He's got a big commercial. You remember Will, Mark?
I have to see his face again.
Yeah.
Will is on Ozempic. I think it's a Cheez-It commercial. Wow. Correct me if I'm wrong, man.
Yeah.
Will got commercials all over the place.
Yeah. Someone else from VSU.
Oh, look. Daryl was like,
Ozempic.
That's
it.
Hey man, look, it was a pleasure, bro. To have you. Thank you for taking the time out. On the real, you are other than having Greg Diggs on, who chronicles everything at BET. You are history. All of the people that you've worked with, the music industry, you are at the start of hip hop.
Yeah.
You gave Master G the foresight about hip hop. Sugar Hill Records was was the first album most of us had. The first 12-inch, the long version. Man, to be there on the front end of it. And it's funny because when we had the conversation, when you tell everybody Virginia State, they were like, "Nah, you ain't do that." And to have G to actually stamp that and to be at that place, man, it's very few times we're going to be at the beginning of something.
Right.
And you were right there, bro.
Right there
at the beginning. How'd that feel, bro?
Feels good now. Celebrating the 50. Happy birthday, hip hop.
Yeah, that's what's up.
Because Mark, we take pride as air personalities and DJs. Yes. Especially Eric and I was in Petersburg and Richmond at the time when it was breaking, and we had to convince some people like Jay Lang, like, "Hey Jay, we need to play this hip hop stuff, Jay." Because Jay was running Petersburg and Richmond at that time. you know, and R&B was big on that. And Jay would rely on us, you know, to let him know. And Gary, shout out Gary Young as well.
Yes, my guy.
Gary Young as well, for giving us the opportunity to be able to be on radio. And they would surround themselves with people that may have had more knowledge of the music that was coming from the streets, and would give us the freedom to be able to play a Hawaiian Sophie. You know what I'm saying? That particular record. So we take great pride in it as well. So we appreciate you, man. And thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Yeah,
man.
Thank you, man. Thank you for letting me tell my story. I appreciate you guys.
Oh, absolutely, brother. We hold on. He said,
okay. I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. Go ahead, E. Put it up there.
I wasn't feeling hip hop. You guys brought me around.
See, I wasn't gonna call him out. You know what I'm saying? I remember, Jay, tell me if you remember this. I think we were doing a video show, and it was me, Jay, and Antoinette Essa, right? And I said to Jay, my favorite hip hop group of all time. Sorry for the feedback. Public Enemy. And Jay turned and looked at me like, are you serious? It was Public Enemy. Here's the 12-inch Welcome to the Terradome. Can you see it? Looks a little odd because of the green screen. Here you go. Yeah, looking like that. But this is it right here. Got one of the biggest shout outs on the back here. Right. But Jay and I were doing this video show, and I turned to him and said, Public Enemy is one of my favorite groups of all time. And he turned and looked at me like, are you serious? Because they did all the Center Stage. That's right, Jay. Thank you.
TV.
So, and I did all the hip hop. I did the hip hop segments. Had my Dookie hat on. Remember when LL was rocking the Dookie hats? Right. Had that on. My big, whatever, Patrick Ewing sneakers on at the time. And on that show, I said that. And I remember him looking at me like, you got to be crazy. Are you serious? And look who's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I knew it, Jay. I knew it back then.
Man,
but those are some of the fights, you know, that we had to have to get a group like Public Enemy played on a radio station, you know?
Right.
So
you know, it's all interesting as we talk about the history of hip hop and the fact that people didn't want to play it. Folks didn't understand it.
Right.
And it started, you could only play it after 6 o'clock. First at midnight, then they led it to 6 o'clock. And then there were R&B artists like Patti LaBelle that we would have Feels Like Another One with Big Daddy Kane in the middle of it. Mm-hmm. That version only played after 6 o'clock, but the regular version, R&B version, would play 6A to 7P on the whole transition of where hip hop started to where it is in terms of mainstream now, because they don't consider hip hop as urban any longer. It's popular. Yeah. It's called popular music now. Mm-hmm. So I was listening to, music streaming, and there was a tune in. It was a young lady drop a tune in drop, and it was like, for the best in hip hop music, turn in the tune in. I was like, Culture Vulture. It's no longer ours. I thought it felt like the Dave Chappelle skit when eventually they're gonna come in, they're gonna take you away. Now we got you now. Yeah. It's ours now. So, but no, Mark, like we said, thank you once again.
Thank you.
How can folks find you?
You can find me on Facebook, or my Instagram is Celebrity Talent Inc.
Okay. All right.
That's how you can find me.
Lo, how can they find you, my brother?
I got to add something else to my tag. Okay, you can find me on Star 94.5 Monday.
Or you can email me at celebritytalentagency@msn.com.
Okay.
So you can find me on Star 94.5 Monday through Friday, 3 to 7 p.m. You can find me on Hot 105 Saturday night, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. You also can find me on my IMDb page. We got to plug that now, E. Yeah, I gotta get my star meter up just a little bit under Lorenzo Thomas. So those are the places where you can find me. E, where can they find you, bro?
Hey, man, they can catch me at Convo with the DJ on all of my social media platforms, including Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and they can actually hear me every night on 100 Hip Hop and R&B FM digital radio. I am doing that every night, as well as Saturdays from noon to 2. So, Mark, we're going to throw you in the green room. I'm going to throw you in the green room for a sec. We're going to finish this stuff out.
Okay.
Hold on for a second. and we will be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, this was Shooting the Breeze Conversation with the DJ. We are out of here. Thank you, Miami Sports Music, for hanging on to us. We will see you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, we'll see you.